Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of FPL Affairs, the podcast that discusses our 9-month-long love affair with FPL, including the ins and outs that keep us awake at night. In this video, I am once again joined by the Differential King from the All in Football podcast. We discuss our chip strategies over the next few weeks, our transfer plans for Gameweek 32, team selection, and finish with those bust teams on Fantasy Football Hub and their recommended AI transfers. Anyway, before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for all our existing content and the content we have planned for the remainder of the season. Anyway, let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Kayo Saka. That is a diamond of a goal.
Hello, welcome to the latest video from FPL Affairs with me, Matt, aka the Veteran, and again this week, for the second video this week, I am joined by the All in Football podcast Differential King, Barry. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Getting a bit excited about this game week. It's not as short turnaround as the last one, so it gives me a lot more time to think about my decisions, and we'll touch upon that shortly.
Yeah, whereas 30 and 31, you wait forever, and like London Buses, 2 game weeks came along at once, pretty much with 30 and 31, and then when you're trying to rush a wild card in those 2 weeks, which both of us did, it can get tricky. And then, as it is chip strategy season, I've redone and updated the Idiot's Guide to Chip Strategies video, also out this week, which will feature some of what Barry and I are about to talk about, which is our chip strategies for the upcoming weeks. So, should we get cracking?
Yeah, that's why not.
So, our double game week 32 transfer plans and team selection. And before we get on to the transfer plans and team selections, we will, as aforementioned, look at our chip strategies. And being gentlemanly as I am, we will start with our guests' strategies. So, how have you played your chips so far prior to this week, Barry?
So the only one I played is my assistant manager chip, and obviously my wild card that I did last game week to set me up for my potential chip strategy. Because I was umming and ahhing which way to go around this, and I was looking at game week 32, and I'm like, I actually prefer my bench more than what I would do on my game week 33, because I've got Southampton away, and obviously we all know, sorry Jack, that is it's an easy fixture, and obviously Forest have got Everton at home, and then I've got a double game week keeper, so I'm liking that more than my full-on double game week of game week 33, and I'm not too convinced with Isak's performance against Leicester, where I thought he'd be more involved. So I don't really want to be using the triple captain on him this week. So I've opted for Saka, who looked really good tonight against Real Madrid, but unfortunately might have picked up a knock. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But Ipswich away and Crystal Palace at home, I think they're better fixtures in my eyes than Man United at home, who look a bit more solid now and understanding the Amrin way, and Crystal Palace at home, who are obviously the informed team in the league at the moment. So that's why I've opted for that way, and I just think it works better for me. And then with obviously my team, how I've set it up, I'll be free hitting 34, and that looks pretty template. We touched upon that on the All In Football FPL show. We did like a little draft of what the template may be. So there's quite a few Newcastle players there, Fulham players, and other players like that. So yeah, that's obviously how I've done it. So I don't know what obviously your thoughts on this and how you're playing yours. So pick your bones of it. Have I convinced you
Yeah,
otherwise to look at doing this strategy?
we'll bring up my chip strategy in a moment. But those of you, if you're looking carefully on screen, you've got your Barry's Game Week 32 bus team with the bench boost and Game Week 33 with a triple captain. Quick looking at them, it's the same squad of 15 going into Game Week 33. Like, so comparing the two, looking at Game Week 32 and Game Week 33 teams, you've got a bench of Henderson with his double, Rodgers and Dean, you're both away to Southampton, and Nico Williams at home to Everton, compared to, well, the only difference the following week is Murphy and Trippier away to Aston Villa. Would you say you looked at the bench boost more importantly first, and then triple captain just the bench, the best option from whichever game week you weren't going to bench boost in?
Yeah, so with my bench boost, I think the only issue I've got with it is the Aston Villa players and the Arsenal players, because they're in Europe, the potential rotation risks. So that was my only one that I'm looking at is Saka and Digne. Rodgers has played 30 out of 30 games and started. So yeah, that's my issue on that front. That's where I'm probably 75%. I'm probably going to go for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at on that thought process. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
We'll move on to mine because I basically similar strategy, but I'm going the opposite way round in terms of triple captain in game week 32 and bench boost in 33. So with squad selection, I very much looking at my bench for game week 32 is Raya, Savinho, Guardiola, and Gabriel placeholder. If I were to bench boost in 32, obviously I'd replace that. And the reason I put the City options in is simply, well, as I've got triple Palace doubling up, then I don't want to be having three of them against three-man City in the same squad. So with Savinho being benched, I thought, well, I'll bench him as well, and Bardiol bench in favour of Conte. So I've actually got an Aston Villa double up there. And like Barry was weighing up, that's a good bench to bench boost. But then I also looked at the flip side of bench boost in game week 33, and I'm not necessarily so convinced about whether this is Newcastle goggles on. The triple captain options across both game weeks, and for me, Isak 2 home fixtures is a no-brainer for me. Yes, he didn't play great against Leicester, which is going to put question marks and doubts over some people for triple captaining him. Afterwards, though, Howe did say that he's 100% fit and acknowledged it was an opportunity to rest him if he wasn't, but he's 100% fit and available. And when I wildcarded, I was wildcarding with game week 33 in mind. So my chip strategy, I have stuck with that from game week 23, game week 24, when I was like, right, I'm going to use this, then this, and this. And I have followed Jack's advice to a degree by adapting it slightly. And that was just by using my wildcard a week earlier than I planned to, which has worked out, thankfully. But if you look at my Gameweek 33 team squad, which I do plan on bench boosting, the downside of doing it the way I'm doing means I do actually need to use a couple of transfers, which if I were to go Barry's way, I wouldn't need to use the transfers. I'd just keep hold of the Newcastle assets. Whereas the transfers I've put in, I've gone with a template of Saliba in for Gabriel. And then I've gone Bradley replacing Trippier. So he'd have Leicester away. And the other being Morgan Rogers coming in for Jacob Murphy. Those are the transfers I'd have in mind. So then my team for that, I'd have 10 doublers starting along with Isak. And then on the bench, I'd have Martinez and Konsa of Villa, along with Bradley and Salah from Liverpool, who've got Leicester away. That's what my bench boost would be. What are your thoughts on my approach, Barry?
I like the transfers that you've made, to be honest. It strengthened your bench massively. Unsure about, obviously, Bradley, because we don't know the length of time that Trent's out. So that could potentially change, but I can't see him being back for the game week 33 anyway, because he's still got a red flag on him and he's still unknown, and I don't think he's training yet anyway. So I think he's pretty nailed as well. And I think he's 4.7, 4.8 million as well. So it's a good way to get into that Liverpool defence on the short term. So yeah, so I do like that. Obviously, Saliba and Gabriel's pretty straightforward. Obviously, got two decent fixtures. And Rodgers as well, as touched upon briefly on when I was looking at my team. He plays near enough every single game. Well, he plays every single game for Villa at the moment. So, but obviously there are tough fixtures for him. But Newcastle at home, obviously sometimes can be a bit leaky in defence. And obviously Man City away. Yeah, Man City of old used to be good at home, but are they now? So yeah, that could be an option. With the triple captain, though, I was thinking if there is a double game week in 36, it could be a potential option to keep it for that, because Man City might have Southampton and Bournemouth, Southampton away and Bournemouth at home. Could be a good double game week. And if Forest get through, they could have Ipswich and West Ham. So you could look at triple captain Wood. But we don't know if that's going to happen. And are you going to risk leaving your triple captain till then, when it's not a nailed on fixture? Yeah, you could potentially look at, I don't know, doing Saka. If that doesn't come into fruition, you could look at doing Saka maybe at game week 38 when they've got Southampton away. But it's going to be a dead rubber game. I think obviously Southampton's already relegated, and probably Arsenal are going to finish second anyway. So
Yeah,
that's the potential another avenue if people want to look at a different strategy for the triple captain. But I think 32 and 33 are strong candidates, because Saka obviously good. Obviously, yeah, he's got Ipswich away and Crystal Palace at home. But as you mentioned, Isak's got 2 home games, and obviously the relationship that he's got with Murphy as well. Obviously, they do obviously link up pretty well, so that could be a potential option to do that. And if you want to go proper rogue, you could go triple captain on Murphy. How he's been performing recently, but yeah, I wouldn't be doing it. and I am the differential king, so yeah, I think you'd be playing on going straight for Isak on that one.
yeah. If this chip strategy doesn't quite fit with what chips you've got left available, then watch our updated Idiot's Guide to Chip Strategies, because as well as this conversation Barry and I have just had, we've got some alternative strategies following on from our conversation. Getting back to our Game Week 32 preview, let's discuss our transfer plans if we have any. Right, Barry, have you got any ins and outs planned, in particular, any names you want to throw out before we look at your
To
team?
be honest, I've looked at my team and I'm quite quite actually happy with it, to be honest. And I've just been making transfers for the sake of it. I'd rather bank them and maybe use them to, if I flip tactics and go for a bench boost on 33 and get more double players in,
Mm.
or look at when these fixtures start changing going forward and go, actually, I need to get off these certain players because their fixtures are getting harder, and bring in players that obviously have a good fixture run going forward. So for me, I haven't really got any, to be honest. I know it's quite boring and that, but I've set my
Mm.
wild card up. So I only wild carded last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at on my transfers, and I think I've just been making transfers for the sake of it, and don't really want to be honest.
Well, especially after such a good, productive week. Did you get a green in Gameweek 30 as well? 'Cause-
I believe so. Yeah, I think I've had two, and I think I had a little small red one prior to that.
mm,
But
prior to the wild
I'm
card.
doing, yeah, doing. I think my last 13 game weeks or so, I've been above average or average. So, but I think the assistant manager chip kind of fluctuates that a bit, because I think it's a very strong chip, but it's one that I don't like. I don't know, obviously, what your take is on that. And obviously, people might still have their assistant manager chip, and
Mm.
obviously, it might be a good time to use it with a double game week coming up for Howe, and obviously Glasnow's got two double game weeks coming up as well. But
Yeah,
so
there's
he's got blank, but you can't use another chip with that. So that is the other downside to the assistant manager chip.
yeah, and the particularly with double game weeks 32 and 33, and with having your free transfers, just bear in mind, as I think one of the popular windows for the assistant manager chip will be game week 31, 32, 33, those 3 game weeks. In which case, with Palace, yes, they've got tough fixtures, but over these 3 weeks, you've got 5, those that have got it activated, 5 fixtures in 3 weeks. Um, Palace, lots of opportunity for table bonus for them with the fixtures they've got. Tough, but yeah, high risk, high reward if Palace get some results in that. But in the context of transfer plans, it's bearing in mind that after you've got your initial manager, that change in managers is allowed, but you've got to factor that into your 3 player allowance per club. So you wouldn't be able to have, say, Howe, Isak, Livramento, and Murphy. You'd have to sacrifice one of the 3 players to have Howe. And likewise with Palace, you'd have to sacrifice either Munoz, Sarr, or Mateta. Hypothetically speaking, if you had your assistant manager chip and you were playing it, which one, which Palace player would you drop if you went for Glasgow, and which Newcastle player would you drop if you went for Howe?
As I keep saying on the All In Football FPL show, is clean sheets are rare. So for me, it would be easy option and just getting rid of the defenders. So getting rid of Livramento or your Newcastle defender or your Crystal Palace defender. Yes, obviously Munoz is very attacking, and so is Livramento, especially against Leicester. But they'll be the two I'll be getting rid of, because the midfielders and the attackers have got higher ceiling to get you more
Yeah.
points. And obviously, if I had to choose which way I would go and which manager, would I go for Howe or would I go for Glasner? Would I play it safe or would I go for the table bonus? Where I currently am at this moment of time, being ranked 1.8 million in the world, I'd be going for the table boost 100%,
Mm.
because I need to catch up. Yes, I might fail miserably like most of my season has, but at the end of the day, it's there to get you points. And
Mm.
I used it for slots double game weeks, and I stayed with it. I didn't transfer them out, and I got a decent return from it. And obviously, by having 5 fixtures with it is better than obviously having 3.
Yeah,
So
because the other two windows really are either game week 35 through to 37, but then the catch with that, and likewise if you went game week 36 through to 38, is when the Europa League and Conference League Cup finals are scheduled, as well as the FA Cup final, that some fixtures in 37 would blank and get moved forward into 36. So then the relationship between double 33 and blank 34 would effectively be repeated in 36 and 37. And do you necessarily want an assistant manager in a blank game week?
you don't really want that. But I did, when it first announced, that straight away in my head was, yeah, I'm going to use it 36, 37, 38 because the teams fighting relegation.
Mm.
We always know back into the season, some teams are got the flip flops on, got the towel on the sun lounger before the Germans get it, things like that. So
Mm.
you've got chance for the table boost there, but near enough, I think they're all nailed on to be relegated. So I don't think there's any fight. I think Wolves need to win the next 2, and if Ipswich lose the next 2, then they're down. And I think Leicester's going down with a win. So yeah, I don't think that's not really an option. So I think obviously if you haven't used it yet, then you are kind of losing out because
Mm.
you'd have to use it now probably to get the double game weeks. But if you're starting it now, then you've got the blank in 34. So,
Mm.
but if you opt for obviously how, you don't need to make a transfer because obviously you've got they don't blank in that game week and they've got a good fixture as well. So you could
Mm.
get goal returns and a win bonus.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very tricky chip to navigate. But if you plan it right, like I know some people have, such as Kieran Ball, he's planned his really well. Got good bonus for that, and that's why he's flying high in the league. Whereas I'm in the dizzy heights and of 1.8 million. So it's all about making the right decisions, and sometimes it's about luck in FPL and
Yeah.
doing the right transfer, for example, and getting on that, joining the bandwagon sooner rather than later, such as me not transferring Haaland out
Yeah.
when
It's
everyone else did it. I died by the sword massively. Whereas
and
obviously everyone who jumped on the Isaac train, loving life.
yeah, I got on that early. But going to ins and outs, really looping back for game week 32, like you having wildcarded in 30 with the view of getting in players for the doubles and preparing for the bench boost in 33 and having those and free hitting in 34. Unfortunate the Gabriel injury coming, but
Yeah.
because of the fixtures, I very much thought, well, I will hold him until I bench boost in case something goes wrong with the replacement, or also with where we spoke about in our Game Week 31 review video, one of the lessons learned from Game Week 31 about priorities in relation to Europe and how Arsenal are understandably prioritising the Champions League and squad rotation is, are they going to be as secure at the back, and what the structure of their defence is going to be. So with that, another reason why I haven't transferred out and don't plan to transfer Gabriel out yet is I want to keep my options open until the last minute to determine whether I want to go and remain double Arsenal defence and therefore switch to either Saliba or Kivior if he's playing centre back, or Timber, or whether to switch it up and my Jacob Murphy replacement to be an Arsenal midfielder, like potentially Marino, as a differential option. But that's not to decide this week. I've got another week of watching and monitoring both 32 fixture as well as the second leg against Real Madrid next week to determine where I'm going to go with my third Arsenal player, if at all. So, should we look at your bus team, Fantasy Football Hub, and how they've got your team set up? Interesting selection, even though you're doing your bench boost, they've got a different starting lineup to you.
Yeah, it's quite standard. You want to put all your double game week players in, and like I say, obviously it's a nice bench. So hence why I'll probably be looking at doing the bench boost. But my only downside is the potential rotation with Saka and Digne, and hence why probably AI has put them on the bench because of the European fixtures that we touched upon.
Mm.
So yeah, I was quite surprised that Canate is on the bench over Guardiola. Yeah, it's quite a weird one, but what do I know? I'm 1.8 million in the world, so yeah, it's one
I'm
of them where I'm thinking that's who I
I'm
would start
wondering.
more than Guardiola.
I'm wondering if part of the reasoning is that Man City have kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games. Liverpool have been leaky defensively. Plus, Gvardiol playing centre back, he is a bonus points magnet. If he gets shipped to left back, it's not so appealing from a bonus points perspective, but playing centre back, he soaks them up, whereas Konate doesn't. So I'd probably say those are the reasons why Gvardiol's got a higher predicted point over Konate.
Hmm. So it's a good point. But obviously when he plays left back though, he gets forward quite a lot, so he gets a lot of potential goal involvement. So whereas Canati doesn't really get that many. So on attacking impetus wise, probably he's your better choice. And as I mentioned a second ago, clean sheets are hard to come by, so hence why he's probably starting over. So
Mm.
yeah.
A feature that Jack and I always do in the game week previews is to see if we can guess what the AI recommended transfers or transfer, if any, that a Fantasy Football Hub recommends we do. So, if you had to make any transfers, what do you think might be recommended for your team?
I think it will go for Digne. I don't know who we would potentially look at transferring in. Because I've obviously got the full capacity of the double game weeks.
Mm.
Maybe a Brighton defender could be an option playing Leicester. So yeah, so probably like I don't think I've got enough money for a Stupinian, so it won't be him. So maybe a Lewis Dunk, I guess on him.
But either way, you're planning to roll anyway, regardless.
Yeah. Either way, I'm happy with that.
Mm.
So yeah, so that might be the way that I think AI is thinking of looking at Lewis Dunk. But
Mm.
Brighton have got a lot of defensive issues and suspensions, so yeah, that could be another one to swerve.
Right. Well, didn't go Brighton. The AI did not. It actually recommended 3 transfers. It recommended that you sell Saka, Digne, and Henderson and replace them with Sarr, Saliba, and Martinez.
Very interesting.
Would that be something you would consider?
Yeah, I thought Digne would be on there, but yeah, the Henderson one, yeah, probably should have gone for a Munoz. In hindsight, looking at the wild card, but I wanted to be different, have that differential. So yeah, I don't mind them, but I probably won't be doing them.
No, three transfers as well at this point, if you don't need them, is risque. I'd be intrigued as to what its reasoning, but I'm presuming that the Saka one is just simply to raise funds for upgrading Henderson and upgrading Digne. That's most
Yeah.
probably why the Saka sale is. But anyway, irrelevant. Moving on to my bus team, it's got down Raya as the goalkeeper, Munoz, Trippier, and Guardiola at the back, Sarr, Jacob Murphy, Salah, and Saka in midfield. Isak, Mateta, Marmoush up front. No surprises of Isak as the selected cap. My bench being Martinez, Konsa, Savinho, and understandably Gabriel. So no real drastic surprises. I think that Ryan Martinez is kind of a flip of the coin. There's only a 0.2 prediction in points between them. But yeah, Savino and Konsa will be on the bench because they're single game weeks and they were both benched in the last game, really. So I'm not surprised with that lineup. Bearing in mind, I've already seen the recommended transfers having made up the slide. Do you want to have a guess what you think AI recommends I do this week?
Knowing AI and how it predicted 3 for me, I'd probably say it's going to do 3 for you, and it's going to have Saka again, Gabriel, and Savinho probably. But I don't know who they'll potentially look at bringing in. Maybe Gabriel to Saliba probably is going to be the sideways move. Savinho, you've got obviously full complement of the doubles. So don't know. Maybe have you got enough money for Matoma? Maybe if you obviously downgrade Saka to someone, could
I've
be an
got
option.
1.2 million in the bank with 2 free transfers.
Right,
That
so it's
doesn't
not money obviously going
necessarily,
through. So.
but it doesn't necessarily mean they'd recommend I use both. And also, well, you haven't got 3 free transfers, have you?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't really looked because I'm not going to transfer, so I haven't
Yeah.
clicked the transfer button to see how many I've got.
But
So
we shall flick over and see. Congratulations, you guessed in Gabriel to Saliba. That's the only one it recommends that I do this week, which, as I said, I'm undecided on my third Arsenal asset, whether to do a sideways one or to juggle it into a double attack, utilise the opportunity of Gabriel being injured. But as I said, I'm not deciding that this week. That's going forward. Have you done your All in Football podcast recording for this week?
yeah, we did it earlier today. So we covered looking at chip strategies like we've done, and looking at who's the best picks of the double game week players to bring in, and also looking at form players, form teams, and is it worth obviously getting on them players that are playing in good form. So yeah,
A typical form versus fixture thing. Did you do your differential five-a-side?
we did, yeah. And to be fair, I got absolutely slated for mine because I've gone for 2 0% owned players.
Oh.
Do you want to have a guess who they might be?
To 0%.
They both play for the same club. That kind of narrows it down maybe slightly for you. And I have mentioned him quite a bit in the
I'm
past couple of seconds.
Lewis Dunk of Brighton.
One's a defender, one's a midfielder, and they play for Brighton.
Yep, and the other being, well, you did just say Mitoma, but I'd expect he's higher than 0% owned, and I expect Minter will be higher than 0% owned as well.
Yeah, he's like 1.4, I think.
Mm.
Bear in mind,
Right.
Rutter's injured, and the
Yeah,
person that replaced Rutter was
wasn't Solly March, was it?
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. Not a name I'm familiar with so much, but then I haven't done my
No,
research like I did last week.
I seen him just after he got injured, and he came on and he scored a good goal, and I thought, hey, that looks quite a decent player. And I thought it's worth a shot, 0% owned, and they're playing Leicester, so we know what Leicester are like, so
Yeah.
might be worth a shot on that. And I went for cash in at in defence because majority of the defence is either injured or suspended. Lamptey, Veltman, Van
Mm,
Hecker is suspended. Webster's injured, so they've only got like Dunk and Cashin, and they'll
mm.
play Hinselwood right back, and they'll play a Stupian left back. That is their back four. In my, that's what I reckon anyway. But I'm no no manager of such, am I? So I'm not very good at an FPL manager by my game rank. So yeah, I've gone for them too, and then I've obviously gone for Rashford, and my keeper was Leno, and my striker was one of my favourites, Strand Larson. So yeah.
Yeah. So, to any of our viewers that are either unaware of your podcast or have not seen it yet, where would they find that differential five-a-side and which players to focus on and all that aforementioned? Where would they find you?
So we've got a YouTube channel. Just search in All In Football FPL Show, and it'll pop up. We're also on Spotify. We're on Acast, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and also we post all our teams on FPL Affairs on the Facebook group. So have a look on that, and I also do like a little report after as well, who finished where and who had the pick of the week and who got the wooden spoon and who won overall. So yeah, it's a fun little free game that we do. It's just pick 5 players, a goalkeeper, 2 defenders if you wanted to go rogue, 1 defender, 2 midfielders, and an attacker. So just pick 5 like you would do in 5-a-side, and you have to have 1 under 10, one under 1, and then the rest under 5. So yeah, it's very good to think about and plan. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I
And
enjoyed
obviously you know, because you did it the other week.
yeah, I enjoyed doing that, but I was absolutely pulling my hair out because I had Evan Nilsson up front and he scored. I was like, result. Murphy got an assist in midfield, result. Um, who else did I have in midfield? Oh yeah, Saka. He came off the bench and scored. It was like result. Yeah, what let me down? And I think I finished. There were 3 of us that finished on 22 points. And the
Wow.
reason I didn't get higher was because my defender choice, my lower than 1% owned, like Kushinov, or is it
It was.
for Man City? What didn't even make the squad, and he's not injured. So yeah, I got shared second highest points, but from only 4 players. So that was frustrating. But yeah, it's a good little thing to research and play along. Um, as for where you can find us on X, FPL Affairs, Facebook group, just search FPL Affairs and join the group if you have not already. YouTube channel at FPL Affairs if you've found what Barry and I have discussed this week and got planned for Gameweek 32 very interesting, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really makes a difference, and if you hit the little bell thing once you click subscribe, you'll get notifications when there's new videos and new content. And any final thoughts from you, Barry, before we go and wrap things up?
I just hope everyone has a good game week and green arrows all round.
Yep. And please let us know in the comments below what your trip. I'm saying trip because I've got Trippier. What your strategy is? Are you similar between us? Can't decide between bench boost and triple captain, or are you on something else like the assistant manager? And who have you gone for? But all that's left to say is keep your FPL affairs under wraps until the deadline passes, and then plaster your FPL affairs all over social media should you wish to do so. And until next week, enjoy and fingers crossed for green arrows. Thank you so much to Barry. It's been great having you on for our videos this week, and good luck with your differential draft.
Thank you very
Goodbye,
much.
everybody. You're welcome. Bye bye.